This is BRICS Global Television Network's Daily Roundup. We begin with the headlines. Vladimir Putin reshuffles his cabinet. BRICS Bank avails funds for Brazil. China issues long-dated treasury bonds. And the Emirates Group posts record profits. Hello, I'm Juliet Newell. Russian President Vladimir Putin has reshuffled some key positions in his cabinet, appointing a civilian economist as his new defense minister. Reuters reports that Putin wants to better utilize the defense budget and harness greater innovation to win the war in Ukraine. Andriy Belousov is a former deputy prime minister who specializes in economics. He replaces his long-term ally Sergei Shoigu as defense minister. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov says the change makes sense because Russia is approaching a situation like the Soviet Union in the mid-1980s, when the military and law enforcement authorities accounted for 7.4% of gross domestic product. He says it's vital to ensure such spending is better integrated with the country's overall economy. However, outgoing Defense Minister Shoigu has not been left without a job. He's been given a senior position. Putin wants Shoigu to become the secretary of Russia's powerful Security Council, replacing incumbent Nikolai Patrushev, and to also have responsibilities for the military-industrial complex. He's left Alexander Bortnikov and Sergei Narishkin, the chiefs of the Federal Security Service and the Foreign Intelligence Service, in their positions, and added to this Valery Gerasimov, the chief of Russia's general staff, and someone with a more hands-on role when it comes to directing the war, will remain in the position. Sergei Lavrov, the country's veteran foreign minister, will also stay in his position. This secures Putin's circle of loyalty as he presses on with the war in Ukraine. The BRICS Bank has announced it'll make funds available to help reconstruct Rio Grande do Sul in Brazil. The region's been severely affected by heavy rains over recent weeks, resulting in floods and mudslides. At least 145 people have lost their lives, and hundreds of thousands have been forced from their homes. The president of BRICS Bank, also known as the New Development Bank, Dilma Rousseff, says the bank will help with the reconstruction of the infrastructure of municipalities and businesses and will make the funds available soon. Rousseff has a home in Porto Alegre, Rio Grande do Sul, and has been following the situation. Meanwhile, river levels have risen once again as heavy rains continue to lash already waterlogged parts of southern Brazil. Rio Grande do Sul residents have been battling downpours for 2 weeks, resulting in rivers bursting their banks, sending muddy waters into towns. Experts are blaming climate change, made worse by the El Nino weather phenomenon. More than 2 million people have been affected by the deluge. Authorities are warning the ongoing rains could cause further flooding and landslides, putting more pressure on search and rescue teams still searching for at least 130 missing people. Parts of Porto Alegre, which is home to 1.4 million people, remain underwater. Meteorologists say heavy rains will continue for the next day or two, with more than 100 millimeters per day expected in some areas. Saudi Arabia finds itself at the center of global health scrutiny as an outbreak of Middle East respiratory syndrome, MERS, has prompted urgent action from health authorities worldwide. The emergence of 3 cases without direct camel contact, a known reservoir for the MERS coronavirus, has heightened concerns among experts and raised questions about the origin of the outbreak. Health agencies, in collaboration with the World Health Organization, are intensifying efforts to investigate the source of the MERS outbreak and implement measures to curb its transmission. A team of WHO experts has been deployed to Saudi Arabia to assist in the investigation and containment of the MERS cases. The recent outbreak underscores the ongoing threat posed by MERS coronavirus and highlights the importance of global preparedness and vigilance in managing infectious diseases. Over the years, the WHO has conducted technical missions to Saudi Arabia to assess the MERS situation and provide support, demonstrating a concerted effort to address the persistent challenge of MERS. As authorities work to identify the source of the outbreak and implement control measures, the global health community remains on high alert, ready to support Saudi Arabia in its efforts to safeguard public health and prevent the further spread of MERS. Some background information on MERS. MERS, or Middle East Respiratory Syndrome, is a viral respiratory illness caused by the Middle East Respiratory Syndrome coronavirus. It was first identified in Saudi Arabia in 2012. MERS is considered a zoonotic disease, meaning it can be transmitted from animals to humans. Dromedary camels are known to be a reservoir for the virus, and human-to-human transmission can occur, particularly in healthcare settings. MERS primarily affects the respiratory system, causing symptoms ranging from mild to severe respiratory illness. Common symptoms include fever, cough, and shortness of breath, and in severe cases, MERS can lead to pneumonia, acute respiratory distress syndrome, kidney failure, and even death. Individuals with underlying health conditions such as diabetes, chronic lung disease, or weakened immune systems are at higher risk of developing severe complications from MERS. And tensions between the United States and China over technology appear to have worsened. The Biden administration is reportedly poised to open up a new front regarding its artificial intelligence initiatives. It aims to place preliminary guardrails around the most advanced AI models, the core software of the artificial intelligence systems like ChatGPT. BGTN's Yolanda Pondo has more.
The U.S. Commerce Department is considering a new regulatory push to restrict the export of proprietary or closed-source AI models whose software and data are kept under wraps. China, in the meantime, says it is pushing ahead with its own AI initiatives, while Russia is doing the same. The U.S. Commerce Department has declined to comment, while the Russian embassy in Washington did not immediately respond to Reuters. But the Chinese embassy has described the move as a typical act of economic coercion and unilateral bullying, which China firmly opposes, adding that it would take necessary measures to protect its interests. Currently, nothing is stopping US AI giants like Microsoft, Alphabet's Google, and rival Anthropic, which have developed some of the most powerful closed-source AI models, from selling them to almost anyone in the world without government oversight. However, US government and private sector researchers worry that other countries could use the models to wage aggressive cyber attacks or even create potent biological weapons. Yolanda Pondo, BGTN, Johannesburg, South Africa.
Coming up, a brief look at business stories from BRICS countries, but first, take a look at what's coming to BGTN soon.
The vehicle standby. Vorshi, Akare 07, suspicious people, 4 Bravo males in dark clothing, standing in front of the gate of complaints. They say possible 1 for Alpha there. Number 63 is left, I don't know the nearest corner, but I'll locate so long. Yeah, what's the address there? 63 Clip Street. Number 63 Clip Street, Observatory. But the shop is here, we are here, everything is sorted out. We'll call you if you need a pickup.
What the hell do you want from me? Leave my kids alone!
Possibly I think we're going to lock up this woman. It's our first suspect. Vehicle can cancel on that one. I've got a vehicle on the scene already.
In BRICS business news, China's booming trade with Russia, seen as a lifeline for the nation at war with Ukraine, is hitting a snag. China's facing accusations that it's helping buoy its longtime ally's economy, with President Vladimir Putin due to visit Beijing in May. An executive order by US President Joe Biden in December allows secondary sanctions on foreign banks that deal with Russia. This allows the US Treasury to cut them out of the dollar-led financial system. Chinese banks are now heavily scrutinizing transactions with Russia, fearing US sanctions targeting those who are seen to be aiding Russia's war efforts. This is resulting in delays and disruptions to business dealings as well as higher costs. Smaller businesses reliant on smooth financial flows are being impacted. Some have had to shut down. The recent decline in Chinese exports to Russia, down from a surge earlier this year, coincides with a slowdown in payment processing, a stark contrast to the past swiftness of yuan-dominated transactions. Staying in China, the government will start issuing its first long-dated treasury bonds this week to raise funds for mega construction projects and programs related to national security. Starting on Friday and continuing throughout the year, $140 billion in total will be issued. These bonds will be in 20, 30 and 50-year treasuries, the first of which will be the 30-year treasury. The issuance of these long-dated treasury bonds is a new tool to support the country's economic development and government's plans on continuing this over the next few years. A volatile real estate market and rising unemployment, especially among young people, are the main problems holding back China's economy. Many economists view the 5% growth objective that leaders have set for this year as ambitious. The growth figure is anticipated to increase by 1 percentage point due to the bond sales. China has only sold such government bonds on a handful of occasions when faced with tough economic challenges, including in early 2020, to help fund efforts to counter the COVID-19 pandemic. In Dubai, the Emirates Group has set a record for annual profits for a second year in a row, reporting $5.1 billion, a rise of 81%. For the past 2 years, the group reached $8.1 billion, surpassing the 2020 to 2022 pandemic losses. State-owned Emirates Group, operator of the world's largest long-haul carrier, recorded $3 billion in profits last year, returning to the black after the COVID pandemic. The group has now erased the $5.5 billion deficit from 2020, as well as the $1.1 billion loss in 2021-22. Emirates Airline returned profits of $4.7 billion, increasing 63%. Donata, the group's airport services company, recorded profits of $400 million. But the year ahead is uncertain as Emirates awaits the delivery of 205 Boeing 777X aircraft. The manufacturer is struggling to deliver the order as it faces challenges including safety risk investigations, a $355 billion loss in the first quarter of this year alone, and changes in leadership. Coming up in just a bit, BRICS Sports News.
Coming soon on BRICS Global Television.
You donated your kidney to a stranger. So can you talk us through how that came about?
The story actually starts with a Facebook post, interestingly. Samantha put out a message to her father that they were looking for a kidney for her father. And unfortunately, none of their family members were a viable match for him. And they were turning outwards to try to find someone to come forward to say goodbye. And when I saw the message, just something resonated and like a little light bulb. And I thought to myself, maybe that's something that I could do.
In Russia, the city of Kazan will play host to the BRICS Sports Games Kazan 2024 from the 12th to the 21st of June this year. The competition will take place in the lead-up to the BRICS Summit that will also be held in Kazan later this year. The BRICS Sports Games is an annual multi-sport event organized by BRICS countries. The main goal of the tournament is to strengthen friendly sports ties between countries based on the principles of equality, non-discrimination and equal access to athletes to these competitions. The practice of holding sporting events in the BRICS chair country has existed since 2016 when the football tournament was held for the first time in India. The first multi-sport BRICS tournament was held in Guangzhou, China in 2017. And in 2018, the group of states hosted the BRICS Sports Games in Johannesburg, South Africa, with 3 events on the calendar: men's and women's volleyball and women's association football. This year's games are set to be even bigger and better. Over 12 days, about 5,000 athletes will be competing in 30 sports. In addition to the BRICS countries, athletes from other countries will also be invited. Coming up, BGTN Cares. Find out how slap fighting has helped one man with his mental health.
Coming soon on BRICS Global Television.
I went into a tackle and he was this very big guy. He was a world wrestling champion. And I went in thinking that I'd be able to use my force to knock him over. And his shoulder connected my head, and that's when I broke my neck. So I lay on the field. We lay for about an hour. The ambulance couldn't get onto the field because it was a semi-professional game.
Men's mental health is not discussed as much as it should be. For some, it's a taboo subject, and for others, they're just too embarrassed to reach out. But the more we talk about it, the more often we find ways to navigate through these difficult times, be it with a therapist, talking to a friend, or slap fighting. Yep, I said slap fighting. BGTN's Lebo Masike has that story.
It's a fairly new sport and growing in popularity on the global stage. It's called slap fighting. Overall, participating in sports can contribute to a healthier mind by reducing stress, improving mood, fostering social connections, and enhancing self-esteem. The sport of slap fighting has given many of its participants the will to live again.
1, 2.
Join us as we spark conversations, foster empathy, and inspire hope. Hello and welcome. I'm Lebo Masike, bringing you a show on mental health awareness, where every story is a step towards healing.
Hit with an open hand, you can't do that. And open hand to bite down on your gum guards. Technique on this to get the core with the weights. Then I can get another shot, because what am I doing?
Having faced some dark times, including overcoming suicidal thoughts, Barry, the Otter Green, has found a passion for slap fighting, and he's on his way to the top. Through this candid conversation about real-life experiences, we uncover raw emotions and the triumph on the road to recovery. We're in the company of Barry. We're going to talk about mental health issues. We're going to talk about slap fighting and everything else in between. Barry, thank you so much for welcoming us into your amazing space.
Thank you very much for having me.
Barry, before we get into slap fighting and how it rescued you from your mental health challenges, just take us through, how you grew up, basically.
Well, I was baby Mauritius. So there's 10 years between me and my brother. So I was a spoiled baby. My brother did everything for me. I could not do anything wrong in my mom's eyes till high school came. Then, yeah. So my father was a boxer, grandfather, boxer, and all those things. So I was never allowed to do that side because I've Perthes. So that means my bones don't work. Like my hip is like this. So I could never do a contact sport, so I only did cricket and swimming and cycling. So the mental thing is actually, now when you sit and think about it, it's actually been coming since 2005, if you think about it. And yeah, I've had a very successful life so far. A lot of ups, a lot of downs. But yeah, I've always had the support structure of my brother with me. So that's a good thing about it, yeah.
For you, what was the low for you, the lowest point that you found yourself in?
Suicide. I broke down, cried, a lot of trust issues in relationship. So that all became because I was on social media a lot, so I did quite well on social media. And my family felt I neglected them. So it's about the discipline, and it's actually a brotherhood where even on the group I can show you constant. Bobby actually phones weekly, phones the guys, how are you doing, what's happening? And last year we lost one of our brothers. Doopy.
What do you remember the most about it?
Yeah, we spoke to him the day before. Nothing was wrong. He was the life of the party, always happy. And yeah, just ended it. Yeah. Beautiful girls. So yeah, that's where everybody realized, you know what, it's real, everybody spoke to him. And the slap fighting it's a lot of support. I mean, we don't badmouth each other. We're gonna slap each other, but you might as well be nice. But it's a sport. We don't, no disrespect. If you start about somebody in their family or personal, you get removed. There's a lot more stress in life. You don't need your safe place to be like that. Rise above the hate. You are better than that. Let's fix it. Fix yourself. Come on. What can you do? What will make your day better? And then you'll see another one is never give up.
Barry, as we wrap up, what would your closing words when it comes to mental health challenges, reaching out for help, and also slap fighting,
It's okay not to be okay. Such a cliche. If you look at a river, you throw a rock in the river, the water's going to go over it, around it, underneath it. You just have to find your water in your river. I found that in slap fighting. Doesn't matter of my mood, the guys will come from whichever side. It's find the safe space. There's a lot of groups you can get hold of. You can find me on TikTok, Bos Otterbaz. So if you just want to talk, yes, find something like slap fighting. It's a brotherhood. We need a couple of weight divisions, so we might have one or two heavyweights.
The support individuals offer each other in navigating mental health challenges is invaluable. Together, let us continue to prioritize mental well-being, break down stigma, and build stronger and more supportive communities where everyone feels heard, valued, and empowered on their journey to mental health wellness. Lebo Masike, BGTN, Johannesburg, South Africa.
Well, that's all for today. You can get the latest updates on our website or on our social media. We'll be back with more BRICS news tomorrow.